Hello again everyone. Well, I've come out to the garage to have another try with the airbrush. Had a bit of a go yesterday, and what I thought I'd try, because it's kind of what everyone wants to do, isn't it, is the old hot rod flames. Well, they're usually done on black, it seems to me. I've watched some YouTube videos on how people do it, and they usually do it on a black background. Now, this is my first attempt. You can see, not very good. I created a black background by spraying the only black paint I had, which was the old truck bed liner paint, onto this sheet of card, and it really didn't work very well at all. This paint didn't quite take to it, and yeah, it just produced that sort of horrible result. I was using this template that I printed out off the internet, this fella here, but as you can see, it got a little bit wet and soggy and became quite difficult to use because it's just paper. I suppose I'm using water-based paints, and it is only about 5 degrees C out here in the garage, so I suspect far from ideal conditions. Anyway, I then tried on some white card, which produced a little bit of a better result. These little marks here are just greasy marks where I put it on the dining table where Nicky had been eating some oily fish. So excuse that. So to try and make things a little bit easier today, I've got some black card that I bought at WH Smith's actually in town yesterday. And I also cut out these templates again, but I cut them out of clear acetate. You can buy these, I've seen them for sale, but I'm trying not to spend too much money. So this was relatively easy just to cut out of the acetate sheet. It's a bit thinner, I think, than the templates they sell, but we'll see how we get on. Now I should make it clear, this is by no means intended to be a tutorial video. I am an absolute beginner and I have very little clue what I'm doing, so if you're looking for a tutorial video, there are loads of very good ones on YouTube. Don't watch this, go and watch one of those. This is just to document what I'm trying to do and my progress, and maybe get some helpful comments from people who know a lot better what they're doing. So as far as I can make out, the theory behind this is to spray white onto the black using the template to make a sort of overall flame pattern, and then to spray ever lighter colours, red, orange and yellow basically, inside that pattern in sort of smaller sizes, to give you the flame colours. Does that make sense? That seems to be the way people do it anyway. So I'll mix up some white paint and give it a shot. I think the first thing I'm doing wrong here is using the template far too much. Should be doing a bit more freehand, I think. I'm also making it a bit too complicated, I think, with far too many different shapes overlapping each other. I think I've also got the paint thinned down way too much and it's soaking into the paper and not really covering very well. It is a lot better with the acetate templates though than with the soggy paper one. Right, so I've mixed up some red to have a go with next. Here I think I should really be following the first set of flames I did, not just overlaying randomly in the red. Next thing I think is to make some orange, which is of course red and yellow. I've no idea really what I'm doing, but I guess I'll put equal parts of each in, I suppose. Give it a shot. So there we go. You can see I had just a little cock up at the end where I put the wrong side of the stencil on and the wet paint got on there. But that could be like a little ember or something, couldn't it? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. That's my first attempt at some flames on a black background. Well, I wasn't really very happy with my first attempt on black card. I think it looked a bit weird. A few people said it looked more like seaweed, which wasn't really my intention. I think the mistake I made was I made too much use of the template and didn't do enough freehand stuff. And also had the paint thinned down too much as well. So I had another go and I think this has come out a little bit better. What I also need to do, I think, I've noticed a lot of people seem to be using a different template. A template that looks a bit like an H, like a blobby H. I might make myself one of those before I try again. Well, I'm back in the garage and what I really want to do is to try out doing that flame sort of effect on a piece of steel, because obviously that's really what we're intending to do, is to paint onto bodywork and such like. So what I've done is I've got this offcut of thin sheet steel. I've given it a coat of primer and I've given it a couple of coats of just ordinary gloss black aerosol paint that I brought from Halfords. It's far from ideal conditions for painting at the moment. The primer, when I put it on, it was about 4 degrees above zero. And when I was painting the black on this morning, it was almost zero. Unfortunately, as you can see, I'm out in an open garage. Nikki has said no airbrushing in the house. So I really am limited to where I can do it. But I can't really wait for summer to practice. I've got to practice now. So this is my black sprayed panel. It's not great. You'd want a much better finish if you were spraying a car. But this is only for practice. It's only really a rough piece. It's got some little fish eyes in it from when it was very damp when I was painting. I'm not going to worry too much about getting rid of them. I'm just going to give it a quick going over with 800 grit paper. And then we'll start to paint with the airbrush. Well, given that a quick going over with 800 grit, you probably can't really see any difference on the phone camera here. But just a question for the paint tech sort of people. When you give that a quick going over just to give it a key for the next paint, do you go in straight lines or do you give it a sort of a swirling pattern? Or does it not really make any odds once you've finished? Now I am of course expecting it to be a little bit harder to paint on the steel because it's got no absorbent qualities whatsoever, so I'm going to have to control the paint a lot more to avoid it sort of spidering out. So there we go, there's my sort of progression of flames from the start on just the white paper, then our sort of first attempt at black paper, which created this sort of seaweed effect, then a little bit more flame like I think by the time we get to there, and then hopefully another slight improvement there on the steel. So maybe next time I need to try something else other than flames so we don't get too flame fixated. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like, subscribe if you want to see some more, and ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.